What is up guys, it's Jordan here and welcome back to a brand new video. And I know it's been a while again because I've been so busy. I've got a video coming out in a couple of days where I'm going to explain exactly what's been going on lately because I know the content's been a bit all over the place. Keeping it short, everything's kind of going back into place now and I'm going to be less busy and more free for YouTube. But again, I'll cover that in the proper video. Anyway, today's video is going to be talking about gaming mouses for Rainbow Six Siege and just comparing a few ones and also discussing what I think is probably the best mouse for Siege. And my inspiration is just the fact that I bought this mouse a couple of weeks ago and I've been seriously blown away by it because I've used a lot of mouses since I started playing Siege. I've pretty much changed them like once every few months and I finally found one that I just think is incredible and is definitely made me play a lot better. So I thought I'd make a short video talking about that particular mouse and comparing some different ones. So I've got some points here, so without further ado, let's get into the video. So this is how we're going to go through this. So we're going to start off with a very talked about debate, which is wired versus wireless. Then I'm going to talk about the mouse that I'm currently using, the one that I think is honestly the best mouse. And then we'll go through some alternatives and we'll come to a conclusion. So wired versus wireless. Many people have discussed this. I think basically whichever one you use, people tend to defend. So people that use wireless will say there's no difference, and then people that use wired will say that, you know, it's superior. And I know there's going to be some people watching this right now that are already getting ready to comment, oh my god, wired is obviously better. Just yeah, let's just go through this because it's a very opinionated thing. So I'm going to upset someone no matter what I do, so fuck it, I guess. I'm going to try and keep it pretty neutral. So the first thing I want to talk about, if you're looking at wireless versus wired, is if you want something wireless that is pretty much as good as a wired one in terms of latency and smoothness and responsiveness, you're going to be looking at paying a hell of a lot more money than you would be for a wired one. So if you're on a budget, definitely go wired. However, if you really like wireless, you're going to be having to dig deep into your wallet to be able to get the same kind of performance from a wired mouse, and even then you may not get that kind of performance. It depends on how well you notice these kinds of things. And to be honest, that price thing is pretty much what impacted my decision when it came to buying my new mouse. I've had both wireless and wired, I should have mentioned that at the beginning, throughout my time playing Siege, but I wanted something as good as possible without spending like ridiculous amounts, which is why I went wired, even though I still ended up buying a bloody ridiculous expensive mouse. But it's not as ridiculous as the wireless alternatives for that kind of performance level. Which leads me to the next point, which is wired is pretty much always going to be instant no matter what you do. Like even if you buy a cheap one, the responsiveness will still be instant. It won't be as smooth. DPI doesn't affect the response time exactly. Like some people get a bit confused about what DPI is, but wired is always going to provide a latency-free kind of experience. Of course, you get some cheaper ones that will never feel as smooth, but wired generally is going to be the same thing. It's plugged directly into the computer. There's nothing to stop it from being less responsive, barring the optical sensor or whatever being a little bit less good as some of the expensive ones. So if you're looking for instant response times and you don't want to compromise with that at all, wired all the way 10,000%, it's always going to be better, unless of course again you fork out ridiculous amounts for a wireless mouse and you have a wireless adapter that's practically next to the mouse anyway. So now that we've just quickly gone over wireless versus wired and you have a better idea of what we're talking about, I'm going to talk about the mouse that I personally think is the best gaming mouse for Siege. Again, I'm going to use that loosely because I haven't used every mouse on planet Earth, but this is definitely the best one that I've used, and I've used a lot of mouses, probably about 15, and it's the Razer Death Adder Elite, which is the newest one of the Death Adder range, which is specifically designed for FPSs. It has, I think, like true 14,000 DPI. Pretty sure it's 14,000. What a lot of mouses do when they claim to have 14,000 DPI is it's kind of faked a little bit, as in it's not actual DPI settings that you're changing. Like when you're at 14,000, you're actually running it like 8,000 DPI, but then they use some clever software tricks to make it kind of appear like it's 14,000 DPI. But with the Razer one, you get 1-to-1 accuracy and it's true 14,000 DPI. This mouse is wired. Being wired, obviously the response time is perfect. There's no delay whatsoever, and because of the super ultra smooth DPI and also the metal blades on the bottom of it, it's the smoothest mouse ever. On a Razer mouse mat, which is what I have it on, it is an absolute dream. It glides across the mouse mat perfectly. It's so smooth, it's so responsive. Like everything that you see on the screen to mouse is 1-to-1. Like you move the mouse, it happens instantly, smoothly and responsively. And in a game like Siege, it makes getting headshots and peeking tight corners and pixel peeking so much easier, because when you have a mouse that's a little bit less smooth and you're trying to like nudge the reticle a pixel at a time, it kind of jumps a bit. Whereas with this mouse, it's just smooth. No matter how little you move the mouse, like the increments doesn't matter, it will always be as smooth as you need it to be, which especially when you're playing defending is just perfect. It's absolutely amazing. And it's probably where my gameplay has stepped up the most, is defending and pixel peeking and holding an angle. That is definitely where I've seen the biggest improvements by using this mouse. Nothing to throw in there, if this is something that interests you, which it should do if you're into especially hardcore gaming, extremely customizable. The Razer software is brilliant. It allows you to set your own DPI ranges, which can then be switched out on the fly through gameplay. You just flick the buttons on the mouse and it will give you a little indicator as well in the bottom right to say what the DPI is. So at the moment I have mine starting at 800 and it goes up to 16,000. 16,000, that was what we true 16,000, not 14,000. But yeah, that's what I have mine at. I normally play at 800 DPI and then I have my sensitivity set to about 40. That's what I personally like. But if for whatever reason I want to change it, it's super easy. I just tap the button and then that is it, it's done. And if I want to change the range of the DPI, I can go into the Razer software and configure what ranges I want my DPI at, so I could have it at like 400 up to 8,000. But 800 to 16,000 is what I like, although 16,000 is mental. This mouse is also extremely comfortable. It's quite a big mouse, but it just, once you get, like when you first use it, you're a bit like, oh my god, this mouse is absolutely huge. But once your hand kind of gets used to it, it is one of the most comfortable mouses out there, and that is especially a key thing when you're playing long sessions of Siege. If you're going to go like grind out ranked one night, you're definitely going to want to have a mouse that is super comfortable to hold, and also one that has grips on it that are appropriate, so that you know you have the best control possible. The last thing you want is your hand slipping off the mouse a bit or moving around a bit when you're trying to get into like an intense firefight or whatever. It happens. My previous mouse was the worst for this. It had like this really like shiny reflective surface on the top, but it had no grips to counter that out, so half the time, like if I had to like turn really quickly, my hand would just fly off the mouse. And I think I've even flung my mouse across the room a few times by accident, just kind of like caught it and it slipped off. But yeah, with this one, it is the most comfortable mouse I've ever had, and I'd say it is a bit big, but once you get used to it, you'll definitely appreciate it. And the final point that I'm going to throw in, just because I feel like it looks cool as hell. It may look a bit plain to some, but when you add in the fact that you've got the chroma software, which allows you to change the colors to whatever you want, literally whatever you want, however you want, you can set it up to match your setup perfectly, and it looks super cool. Like I have mine set to purple because my backlight LEDs are purple, and it just looks insane. Like honestly, it's amazing, and it definitely just looks kind of like low profile, but also stands out at the same time, which is pretty unique. So if you're into aesthetics, then this mouse is also a good choice. Now I'm going to go over some alternative ones as well, because I understand that not everyone is going to be super happy about Razer products. Some people just don't like Razer, and that's fair enough. Everyone has their own brands and things. So if you're looking at other mouses for Siege, these are some other ones that I've used, which I would definitely recommend. The first one is the SteelSeries Sensei 310 or 310, which has a DPI up to 12,000. It has a really nice design. It's actually super comfortable. It has the same kind of grips on the side as the Razer one, but it's a bit smaller, which is nice if you have like a smaller hands. Like the Razer one, it's extremely responsive, pretty much instant and super smooth. And the good thing about this one is it's a pretty good price point as well. If you're living in the UK, it's like £52, which is what I think I picked it up for when I had it at the time. But either way, super nice mouse. The next mouse is actually a personal favorite of mine, which unfortunately my one broke. I had this I think pretty much, I can't remember, it was a while ago, but this one broke on me, unfortunately, not because of age or wear, because I stood on it. Did not realize it fell off my desk, and I woke up in the morning and stood on it and I crunched it, and which sucks because it's super expensive. And it's the Logitech G903, extremely popular mouse. Again, this one has 12,000 DPI, which is quite a common point for these kind of mouses. It's also wireless, but it can also be plugged in to work as a like a wired one if you wanted to. As well as that, it also allows for wireless charging through the Logitech mouse mat, which means you don't have to worry about it dying during the game, which is super cool. Besides that, the battery life is up to 24 hours. So unless you're absolutely mental about Siege or any other game, you're going to be absolutely fine. And again, this one, for a wireless mouse, has extremely good responsiveness. I think if you've never used like a high-end wireless mouse before and you use this one first, you're not going to notice any delay or like latency or anything like that. You're not going to notice it because you won't know any different. I would say if you have used a high-end wired mouse before and you go to this, you would notice it. But if you've used wireless the whole time, I would definitely recommend this one. The final one is a very popular mouse, and it's another Logitech one. I haven't actually owned this one, but I have used it, and I must say it is incredible. It's one of the nicest mouses out there. It's super comfortable and super responsive. That's the Logitech G502 Proteus Spectrum. You may have heard of that mouse because it's a very popular one among the gaming scene. It is one of the most comfortable mouses out there, which I think for me is one of the most important things. I think if a mouse isn't comfortable, you're never going to be good with it. I think I would put that above most things. Like when you first get a mouse, the first thing is comfort. It's top of the range with performance. Like you don't have to worry about it. Like, it has no latency, no no delay, super responsive, super smooth. Light is pretty much on par with the Razer Death Adder Elite, which I think, again, is currently my favorite mouse, but it's definitely on par with performance. Some would say better. Again, it's slightly personal preference, but it's up there. It's one of the best mouses out there. It also has good thumb buttons as well, which are really easy to use, so that when you're in game, you can macro them to things. So like in Siege, I have the same buttons on the Razer one. I have the left mouse buttons for gadgets, which I think is just super easy. So if you haven't used a mouse with macros before and you're looking to get serious with Siege, definitely choose one like this with easy to use thumb buttons, because it makes just things so much easier. Now, we'll finish this up by saying this one is not exactly an FPS mouse, but it is widely regarded as just an all-round amazing mouse for all genres, and it is used by pros as well. Quite a few pros use this mouse because of how good it is. So if you're looking for that, definitely go for Logitech. Overall, brand-wise, I would say Razer and Logitech are the two best ones. Again, slightly personal preference, but they just seem to put out amazing products when it comes to mouses for games, especially FPS ones. Anyway guys, I hope I can shorten this video down into something that's not too long, because it's meant to be just sort of my introduction and getting back into Siege. I don't want to ramble too much about things, but this was just a little bit of a comparison between different mouses for Siege to help you get a better one, because the mouse, I would say, is more important than a keyboard by far. So when it comes to trying to get the best hardware for playing Siege or any other competitive game for that, the mouse is the one thing you don't want to cheap out on. You want to choose something that is going to cost a bit more if possible, so that you're basically not going to upgrade anytime soon, and also that you have the best possible one-to-one accuracy with what you're doing on the screen, because the mouse is, you know, the thing that connects you to what your character in the game, what you're doing in the game. And if you have like a cheap one that has, you know, like a high latency or a high delay and is slow as hell, it's just going to make your life an absolute nightmare. So definitely go for something that is going to be high end and good for you, but mainly just experiment. Just find things that work for you, because everyone has different hands and different comfort ranges or whatever. So yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. I am going to be getting back into things slowly now. Like, I'm going to do it gradually, moving back into YouTube properly. Like I said, keep an eye out for my update video, just explaining kind of what's been going on, where I've been. If you're interested in Siege content and want to see some more awesome Siege content, definitely do hit that subscribe button, and also like the video if you do enjoy it, because it helps me out a bunch. Anyway, have an amazing rest of your week, and I will see you guys in the next one.